Welcome to another flip video lesson with Mr. Volkman. Today's flip video lesson will go over lesson 10.4. We'll be talking about the amendments that protect citizens, specifically amendments 2 through 4. As a side note, you may be wondering why I'm not wearing a tie and why my top collared button isn't buttoned up. Well, in the year 2017, today's a Friday, and Fridays, quite frankly, are casual. Let's begin, shall we? We're going to start our tour of amendments 2 through 4 with the Second Amendment. Let's actually take a moment and read what the Second Amendment says. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Second Amendment has been a very controversial topic in our country's history, especially as of late. And there are two main thoughts on this amendment. The first thought stems from the second half of the amendment. Let's go back and take a look at what it says. It says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, when citizens hear that and read that, they feel as though that private citizens can own guns and that the government cannot prohibit or stop them from owning those guns. Or, at the very least, that the government cannot be overly restrictive on the guns and what type of guns they have. Hence, you have a lot of arguments about the type of guns people can own and how they can own them and how they can store them. Let's talk about now the second part of this controversial topic of our Second Amendment. And this stems from the first half of the amendment, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. When law officials and citizens hear this, some of them feel that Congress can't restrict a state from defending itself, that is what the Second Amendment's all about. A step further, what they're thinking is that the Second Amendment isn't about allowing people to own a gun just to own it. That if people are going to own a gun, it's to protect the state, and that is it. And if you take that thought a step further, it means that individuals don't have a right to own guns, which means that local, state, and federal governments can regulate guns without stopping individuals' freedoms. The Supreme Court, which, as we learned in Chapter 9, looks at how constitutional laws are, has sided with this second part of this controversial topic, that guns aren't necessarily to be owned just for the sake of owning a gun, but that is to protect the state. Let's move to the Third Amendment now, shall we? The Third Amendment says, no soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house, without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner prescribed by law. Well, it's a good thing we're going over this. Some of this language here they're using is pretty 1800s. That doesn't make sense, though, does it? The Third Amendment is all about housing soldiers. In colonial times, if you remember, Britain forced citizens to house soldiers. The Third Amendment allows citizens to say, no! You can't come into my home, British soldier, or any soldier for that matter, because I don't want you to. Remember in the last, or I guess it should be the 10.2 flip video, I mentioned that there were some amendments that were responses to how the British treated the American colonists. This is a prime example of that. Think of the Quartering Act, which forced citizens in the 13 colonies to house British soldiers. The men who created the Bill of Rights did not want this to ever happen again. Hence, why we have the Third Amendment. We don't really have that problem anymore. So nowadays, the Third Amendment's mainly used as a warning to the federal government. And it's a warning to respect the privacy of individuals' homes. It's not just that the soldiers can't come in unannounced, it's that the government itself has to respect our privacy in our homes. Let's talk about the Fourth Amendment. And I quote, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." This seems again like another amendment added to the Constitution as a result of things that happened to American colonists during the time of Britain. Now, the Fourth Amendment protects houses, people's belongings, and people themselves from searches. It also protects against items being taken away from the government. Now, how are we protected? Well, we're protected because when a government official or a police officer wants to search or arrest, they need to have a warrant, a legal document that is based on probable cause. Probable cause just means that they have reasonable grounds to look for something or to arrest someone because they think someone's breaking the law. And the warrant does the following. The warrant must be specific. And it must say what will be searched, what will be taken or seized, and who will be arrested. If the warrant doesn't have any of that, well, then it's not a very good warrant. And if there's not probable cause, like if the government official or the police officer doesn't have reasonable grounds to be doing the search or the seizure, they will not get a warrant to do those things. Well, Mr. Mint, what are you doing here?
I have a warrant for your arrest, Mr. Volkman.
What?
Yes, you see this warrant? I have it on the inside of it. It says that you've been eating M&Ms again, which is murder.
Mr. Mint, what are you talking about?
I have a warrant for your arrest. Come with me to see the principal of the middle school. But, Mr. Mint, Mr. Volkman, what a sucker. Hey, if you look on the other side of this paper here, 1 second, there we go. It's blank. I was just tricking him. I wanted to finish the flip video, so I will. So the Fourth Amendment only guarantees protection by the searches done by the government and searches that are seen as unreasonable. Finally, there are some searches that can be done without a warrant, such as if the person allows it, or if the item's in plain sight. I mean, come on, if you're that goofy to leave an incriminating piece of evidence in front of you in plain sight, you deserve to be arrested. If a lawful arrest was done first, then there doesn't need to be a warrant. Or if people's lives are in immediate danger, definitely you can do it without a warrant. Or if the evidence faces immediate destruction, such as a comet is coming down from the heavens and it's going to blow the earth up and we gotta find that document. Lastly, if the suspect is about to escape, then there doesn't need to be a warrant. Well, thank you for watching this flip video. Remember, this is an educational video. So if you need to rewind it to fill out your outline or your notes in a better manner, please make sure to do that. Go to Edmodo, check for the questions, and hey, Mr. Volkman will see you in class tomorrow. Hey, Mr. Mint, I was thinking, you never showed me what that warrant said. How do I know that you're allowed to arrest me? Uh-oh. Gotta go.